said, welcome to my book, and let's get started together with some just realistic things. So, this is my book, Google Cloud Architect Professional Certificate, just in 20 days. It doesn't matter. You just started the IT profession, or you're a developer, or you're already an architect. This book is for everyone. This book has been explained a lot in a very easy language with a lot of real life examples. That's a little bit more about me, and we do have a table of contents. So before I show you the table of contents, I just want to show you how I'm talking about the real life examples. So if we are talking about network services and you don't know what network services are, how about if you got an example of real life where the things has been explained in a super easy language with real life examples of an IT industry. This is what I'm talking about. So let's go back a little bit about myself, as you can study over here. My name is Ms. Gansendhu, and I'm so pleased to introduce myself with you, as I'm a highly extreme author of this book, and I do have an expertise in the cloud architecture, and I'm going to share my knowledge with you guys of my IT industry secrets, strategies, tips, and everything to clear this exam on your first attempt, but also how you're gonna do the rocking thing in your first career as a Google Cloud architect. So let's begin with it, a little bit more about the book. So table of contents. As you're gonna see, the table of contents will be here, that we will be talking about why cloud computing is important, the IaaS, PaaS, and we will talk about the advantages why GCP is important. First of all, do you know why Google Cloud is needed? Have you ever thought about it? Let me explain you. Cloud computing is like renting a computer or storage space over the internet instead of owning and maintaining of yourself. So instead of you explaining this to someone that, oh, you needed the infrastructure to carry something of yourself. So it's more like renting the internet, renting a place, but over the internet. So you want the physical servers to store your data. For example, Facebook, they need a lot of data to store their data for the Facebook users, and there are tons of users comes every single minute. So this is an easy example how they're gonna store it, how they're gonna maintain it, and how they're gonna recover it. So all these things, this is why we need the Google, I wouldn't say Google, but we definitely need the cloud computing services for this, to store, basically to use it, but just instead of the physical servers, just do it on the internet. We will be talking about this in more detail for sure, and how you maintain it, because maintaining infrastructure is definitely very hard and very expensive, but having a cloud is very cost efficient. Cloud computing are often more effective than maintaining your own infrastructure. Instead of investing in expensive hardware and software, businesses are pay for cloud services on a subscription or pay as you go services. And you just don't have to be worried, because it's more on demand, resource pooling, in easy language if I explain this to you. And let me explain one more thing. So throughout the book, you will see that there are the scanner things, and the YouTube links are over there. So every single topic has been explained in an easy language through the videos throughout the book. So in case you're not in a mood to study or read, you can just have a look on my videos, and the videos will be explained exactly line by line what I'm talking about. For example, let's go. Do you know why Google is different? Let me tell you why Google is different. I'm going to show you where I wrote in the book, but let me tell you, live migration. So when any service is down or your machine is down, Google says, do not worry, I'm here to take care of it. Google has the machine's live migration. So if your machine is down, Google will transfer your data from one host to another host without any downtime, without telling you. So that's the reason it's incredible to have a Google over the other cloud platforms. Custom machine types. Why you need the custom machines? Well, if you want to use 100 GB and another cloud providers provide you the predefined like 50 GB, 150 GB. They don't have 100 GB, but you just want 100 GB. That's where the Google shines. Google says, you know what? You don't have to be worried. If you want only 98 GB, just come to us. We will give you 98 GB. Whereas the other cloud says, oh, we just have the predefined 50, 100, 150. What about if you just want 91 gigabyte? You don't want to pay for 8 gigabyte extra every month because you don't need it. So that's the reason we love Google Cloud, because they offer the custom machine types. What else is different in Google? Let me show that to you in the help of so why and what other things are different in Google, how we can. There you go. So as I've said, live migration of the virtual machines, custom machine types are here. Kubernetes based hybrid, what it means, it just offers the Kubernetes based services that is easy to deploy and manage containerized applications. These services can be hybrid and multi-cloud. Excellent network speed. You don't have to be worried about the speed and the VPC because Google gives you the same data center on which Google is sitting. So it means you know how Google is. It's not going to go down. We trust it. That's the reason it offers you 99.9% SLA service. And what is 99.9 SLA services on most of the services of Google? It says that I'm doing a service level agreement. If you're taking this service, suppose compute engine services, I'll explain you definitely what compute engine is. If you're taking this service, I'm making sure I'm giving you certificate it's not going to be down than this time, maybe 10 minutes in a whole 1 year, which is just hardly a 1 second. So Google gives you the whole guarantee for this one that it's not going to go down. And the multi-region, do you know Google is the only cloud which has the capability to go in a multi-region? Suppose you are in New York, or let's say you are in Europe and you do not want your servers only sitting in North America, because if your customers are in North America and Europe, you want your customers to see the website of Europe. For example, Mercedes. So Mercedes has their different pricing in Europe and different pricing in, I'm pretty sure, in North America, in USA and Canada. So when the customer or the user open a website anywhere in the world, suppose they open in the Europe, in Germany, so we want our multi-region machine sitting somewhere in the Europe close to that, so that it can catch it. The user is coming from the Germany and the prices should show according to Germany. If the things would be more into the, let's say, Toronto or Canada side, it's going to take, the latency time would be increased, and no one wants to spend time on a website where they have to wait a lot. So these kind of things, we're going to talk about it in our book. And as I've said, if I give you a quick glance of it, this is not the only services. We still have a lot to discuss about the migration. So if I give you a little bit about it, we will be talking about compute services, and the compute services which have compute engine, Kubernetes, app engine, cloud run, cloud functions, sole tenant netted. I'll tell you how to remember these. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on your brain. Why there are so many services, how I'm going to remember it. Well, just an easy, I know right now you do not know what the compute engine is and what is the cloud run is, what is Kubernetes engine. But one example, if I just give to you, when you need compute engine, it's just a very little examples so that you know what you're going to see in the book. So why you need compute engine? Well, if you need a virtual machine, instead of having your own machine, you want a virtual machine, you want Google to take care. So let me show you where the Google, we're just almost there. So if Google wants to give you the service of compute engine and you want something that you want to take care of the infrastructure by yourself, that's where the Google thing, oh, there you go. So compute engine is actually a IaaS service. It's infrastructure as a service. I will explain you in detail what these services are, but you know what? If you don't have a cloud, you're working like this. You manage everything: network, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, application. But if you go with Google, let's say cloud services, for example, compute. I know you don't know the compute yet, but we will be talking about it. The IaaS. So the green things, you're gonna manage it, and blue things, Google is going to manage for you. And you're saying, why not? If Google is giving, so App Engine is an example of PaaS. Google is saying, well, I'm going to manage a lot about you because it's a platform as a service. You just manage what is in green. The reason why you will always choose IaaS or why you will choose PaaS, you will choose IaaS if you have a lot knowledge of computers a lot and the servers a lot. You will say to Google, give me your infrastructure, I will handle the rest, because you want to save money and you want to have a more control over the machines, more customized version. But if you do not know the code much, you do not have a strong impact, strong things on the what the cloud is and what the code is, then Google says, you know what, let me give you just a platform. I will take care of these time. You don't even have to worry about the runtime. I'll take care of this. You just take care of the application and data. You just focus on your application data. So simple. If you're looking for a service where you're not looking for a lot of control over the application, then App Engine, which is a PaaS, would be the best service. If you're looking a control over your application, that you want more features in your own hand, you will choose this. And obviously there would be difference between the prices. App Engine is more expensive because they are managing more for you, and the compute engine will be a little bit less expensive because they are managing less things for you and you know the coding. So this is how the Google services work, and I'm pretty sure if I'll explain you a little bit more how to remember these services, you would know how to remember the services. But we have storage services, and for example, the Kubernetes. We all know Google is so much popular for the Kubernetes, and Cloud Run is a new service. I know, but it is a very powerful service for Google. Many times people get confused why we need Kubernetes and the Cloud Run when they both actually manage to they are most related to the containers, and containers is a bigger part. I know you don't know about the containers yet. We will be talking about this in detail for sure. But if you have only one container, go with Cloud Run. If you have to manage thousands of containers, Kubernetes. Yes, you got the right thing. Yes, so this is how the service is going to be defined and how the question in the exam going to come, and we will be talking about why, where, how you can choose which service, what you have to think as a Google Cloud architect so that you can clear the exam, and when you have cleared the exam, how to give answers in the interview and how you're going to place the hold in your job. You got it right. We will be talking about this. So for example, did you know that the data services, we have the data services, which is Bigtable, and data analytical services, I have a list of it. BigQuery, I'm pretty sure you didn't know about that. We use the Bigtable, it's a database services, but we use the BigQuery, which is used to analyze the big data So you store in big data, but you analyze through big queries. So these kind of differences you are supposed to know, and I'm here to let you know how and where. Let's go a little bit more about it, what we are offering in the book. So in my book, you're gonna see all the fundamentals, what's needed, concepts of zones, regions, and multi-regions. As I've said, Google has multi-region feature, which is the most important and most amazing feature of GCP, and no another cloud platform so far has been introduced this feature, and this makes it very easy for disaster recovery your application in the event of regional outage. Usually in cloud, regional outage doesn't happen, but Google has the backup for this, so you don't even have to worry. So there are some things which makes Google extremely separate than another clouds. Let's a little bit more dig into it. I know we have to talk about compute services, what the compute services are, Kubernetes. I just gave you kind of a glance, and you're gonna see the decision tree. So something like this. So at the end of the every single section, you're gonna see that how you're gonna choose which service to use. So in this difference and the decision tree, you will come to know when to choose compute service, when to choose Kubernetes, when to choose App Engine, and what to look in exam questions, and how you can do differently when you're in job. Because as a Google Cloud Architect, it's your prime and first most job is to save money of a company and get them the best services they can have it, so their data is secure, reliable, flexible, and they can have the data whenever they want. It's available for them. So availability has to be really high for the company, and you have to plan in a way so that company doesn't have to lose money. They just pay for what they're supposed to, because cloud is to let companies save more money. So always plan in a way. So I will be teaching you how you can plan, why we use these services, and how you can plan, because even in compute engine we have a whole machine family, and there are tons of different industries who needs different kind of machines. We will be talking about it, and the questions comes in exam from that and in the interview also, because this is the first step and very foremost, very important, what kind of machine to choose, what kind of services to choose, because this is the core of the starting. And on the add-ons, we definitely have machine learning. I have put the machine learning after the compute services. The reason is this, because it's very, very in demand right now, and a lot of questions in GCP comes from this. And on top of this, a lot of questions comes in a interview about it too. You know what, I was just talking to a Google person. He's a director of Google Cloud, and he was telling me, make sure we talk about the generative AI and the Vortex model garden. So these are the new services which just got introduced in May 2023, just this year, in Google. So these are the brand new services for the Google, and I would be explaining you what the generative AI is, Vortex model garden is, what you actually need to know about this for the exam and for the interview, so that you can clear on your first attempt. So there would be like cloud storage services, and at the end of this, you're gonna see, I might didn't write it here, but you're gonna see all the situations, how to choose the storage file, when to choose file store, and when to choose Firebase. So these kind of things, GCP database, networking services, security services, analytical services. So many people, they are confused about sometimes database services and analytical services. Well, analytical services is to do the analyzation, not to store, so you have to be careful. But these services are to store. Like for example, SQL. Did you know that the memory store is a lot of in use? It's more about the cache. So when suppose the iPhone is here, and you guys are so crazy to know about the new iPhone, this is a service most of the companies use. They just place the memory store subscription. They just add this feature in the cloud. But this is actually a cloud feature. If you take that services, what happened instead, the server goes back and forth to tell every single user the iPhone information. What happens, the server, when the brand new user search for iPhone 15, suppose, so it's gonna store that into the area of that region that someone actually searched for the iPhone 15. It's gonna stay there for a few days, and you can customize those few days in a Google Cloud. You can put that for 5 days, 7 days. It's up to you. You want the cache for how many days. You can customize those one, and when you customize those one, it's telling you the latency time is reduced. It means when someone is searching for Google or iPhone 15, suppose, website wouldn't be crashing a lot. The server wouldn't get a lot of load, because when the server has a lot of load, we have seen how the websites go down, especially in the at the time of there's a sale, there's a Boxing Day, New Year sale, or whatever sale you like it. So we use this service. The reason to use this service, so that those every request coming from user, it doesn't go back and forth to the server, and server doesn't get overloaded, because it's most common and most obvious. If iPhone has been released, there would be tons of people would be searching about it, so they don't want overloaded server. That's the reason this service is here, so that it is saved in cache for that region, for the customers, for the users, for several days, and server would not be overloaded. This is a great service to maintain the performance, because performance and the speed is a key. Saving money, performance, and the availability. Whenever the company needs something, the stuff is available, and it doesn't take a lot of time to get it. Network services, there's a lot to talk about the network services, but I can just quickly say about it. The cloud load balancing, suppose, I know I would be talking in detail about this in the book. I'm just giving you some examples what the load balancer says. So many times what happened, the load balancer is required, because if we have a lot of the services, let me explain if I can write it. So suppose, can I write it? Yes, I can write it. So suppose, I don't think so I can write on top of this, but okay, so